Six Nations second round stats. Okay, so before we get started, just to let you know that after the third round, what I'm going to be doing is we're going to have a video like this, but we're also going to have another video, a separate video that will come after it, which will deal with how teams are doing overall. So it'll cover the first three rounds. And then we'll probably do one, maybe same kind of thing after the fourth round and after the final round as well. But today we're going to go over some team stats. Then we're going to look at some team stats plus some individual stats as well to see, where teams are doing well, where they might be able to improve, that kind of thing. So starting off with possession. So top of the possession chart this week was Ireland with 54%, France at the bottom then with 46%, Italy with 52%. So, they're able to hold on to the ball for the most part. But when we look at territory, we can see that there are other issues with them. And into territory, so Ireland leading the way as well with 64%. Wales next was 61%. Italy on 41%. So, we're seeing that Italy, they're having the majority of the ball, but they are basically, they have it in the wrong part of the pitch. They're playing a lot around their own 22, trying to run out of their own half, that kind of thing. And we'll talk a bit more about that later in the video as well. Scotland on 39%. So it's an improvement on last week against England, where they only had 29%, but they're showing that, they don't need to have the majority of territory to be able to win games. They're showing that they are extremely clinical. They get into the opposition 22, and most of the time they're coming away with scores. So, as long as they can keep that and keep up that, being so clinical, then that's not a problem for them. For Italy, it is a problem because they are nowhere near as clinical as Scotland. France then with 36% territory. So, they found it very hard to get into the red zone against Ireland, and their one try as well came from a break from their own 22. So they find it hard really to put Ireland under real pressure in that game. On to then rucks. So Ireland won the most rucks, 136. And then you can see there it goes down to England at the bottom with 68. But in terms of then ruck percentage, Wales are at the top there with 97.2%, England with 97.1%, Italy there on the bottom with 94.6%. Okay, so not much difference between top and bottom there. And also like Wales, the best ruck percentage of any team, but they couldn't turn that into points on the board either. So they've got more to do than just winning the rucks. They've obviously got to look at making them faster, and we'll look at some other stats later on as well that kind of suggest that their attack is maybe a bit blunt. On to mauls then. So Scotland mauled the most, followed by England. England, their maul was a real weapon against Italy. Italy kept giving them penalties, kick to the corner, maul, either a try from the maul or sets up a position where they could score a try. And Italy just couldn't handle it. The team who mauled the least then was Italy on 1. And then in terms of maul percentage, Ireland and France, they're 100% each for them. And Italy down on 50%. So, Italy have trouble basically both sides of the maul, and it's going to be a big work on for them. They could not defend that English maul. It was just too powerful for them. They were kind of caught between two stools, it felt, where it looked like in the line out they were setting up to maybe go up and challenge, but then didn't actually get jumpers up in the air a lot of the time. And when England set the Maul, they weren't ready with their Maul defense. Like there was no, you normally see like, there'll be kind of initial pushback. They're ready for that initial surge of the Maul. They just weren't there for it for most of the time. And then the fact that, they're having trouble when they're mauling themselves as well just shows that the whole area of mauls they really need to work on. And now they've got 2 weeks in between games. They definitely can work on that. But there's a lot of things that they need to improve in their game if they're going to get a win. Wales as well, not so great with their Maul. But, 7 out of 8, 87.5% isn't that bad. But again, they have a lot of work-ons to do as well. Onto the set piece then. So scrum-wise, England win the most scrums with 7, France the least with 1. But France, Wales and Ireland were all 100% in the scrum. Scotland down to 40%. That could be an issue for them in Paris. If there are a lot of scrums there, that is a very powerful French scrum. And, Sander Ferguson was back for the game against Wales. The, first choice tight head. Hopefully for them, second game back, he's going to be able to help them shore up that scrum. Because if they're conceding scrum penalties to France, or just having trouble in the scrum the way they did against Wales, then, France are a very different prospect to Wales there. So definitely a work on for Scotland there. On to lineout then. England win the most lineouts with 21. Scotland there in second with 19. Ireland down the bottom with 8. Lineout percentage then, Italy and England 100%. So that's one good point for Italy there, and something to build on is maybe, looking to attack from lineouts. And again, it's something that I mentioned against France like that. Their lineout seems to be pretty strong, and I don't understand why they're not kicking for territory and then using the lineout either to disrupt or, you kick to them and they kick back to you, and maybe you're a little further up the pitch, and then you have a line out where you're strong and you've got a good base then to attack from. But we'll have to see what they actually do themselves. In terms of other teams then, Wales on 78.6%, not so good. Ireland's 72.7%, really poor for them compared to, in the first round against Wales, Ireland were 100% in the line out. So that's definitely a work on for them, especially going up against the Italian line out, which, as I said, has looked pretty good in the first 2 rounds. Wales, they were bottom in the first round of the line out, second bottom this week as well. So again, just more stuff for them to work on. They've got to get their basics right. Get that set piece working for them as well. They seem to, like, the scrum went well this week, but they're going to have to sort out that line out as well. Because it looks like from open play they're struggling with attack, so they're going to have to sort out the line out to maybe give them some kind of set piece go forward as well. In terms of clean breaks then, Scotland with the most with 10, followed by Ireland, France next, then Italy, England, and then Wales at the bottom with 1. So again, as I said, Wales seem to be struggling with their attack. Just 1 clean break just shows that the Scottish defence handled them pretty easily. Defenders beaten then, Italy topped that with 41. A lot of those defenders, though, similar to the first week, were in their own half, because they're throwing the ball around a lot, around their own 22, their own half. France with 38 there. Some of those would have been in that try for Penalties. That was a lot of defenders beaten there, but also, it didn't have that much effect on the result of the game for them, because a lot of the defenders beaten seemed to be that French players kind of, looking for gaps and going sideways, and Irish players missing tackles, but then, the second or third guy would actually make the tackle. So they weren't necessarily going to be line breaks for them. But still, a lot of defenders beaten for them against Ireland. Scotland with 34 then, Ireland 23, England 11, Wales way down the bottom. England 21, Wales way down the bottom with 11. So again, just speaks to the bluntness of the Welsh attack, that they're not finding space, not finding soft shoulders to be able to beat those defenders. In terms of individuals, then broken tackles, Capuozzo leads the way there with 14. He's having a really good Six Nations so far, backing up the fact that he was the breakout player of the year last year. Pinot then with 11 as well. There would have been a good few of them because he had 2 involvements in his own try, including breaking the tackles of Murray and Hansen to get away to score the try. Van der Merwe, another guy having a fantastic tournament, 9 broken tackles from him. Dumortier, very elusive, and himself and Pinot, they seem to have that ability that when you think that they're about to get tackled, they can break the tackle and just go that meter or two further forward. That makes it hard then to reset the defence. Ollie Lawrence doing well with 8 as well. He had that amazing burst for England. Would have liked to see him getting more of the ball. England seemed to have played like, a lot of 10-man rugby, but a lot of that was to do with the way, Italy were presenting them with the chance to kick into the corner and to Maul. And then Anton Dupont, 6 for him. So like that guy, he's just all around brilliant, I think. Next then, offload. So France and Italy at the top there were 12. Wales were 8, Ireland 6, England 5, and Scotland 4. And I think it's one of these things where it's perception versus the stats, because the offloads that stick out to me from the games of the weekend come from Ireland, where Doris for Ringrose's try, and then Russell for Staines' try in the Scotland game. So but those 2 teams are at the bottom for offloads, but the ones I remember, the ones that are more impactful came from those teams, whereas France and Italy, their offloads, especially Italy, were just kind of trying to keep the ball alive and keep it away from an aggressive defence. Kind of the same with Wales as well, that they weren't offloads to put someone through a gap most of the time. They were just that they were under pressure from the opposition defence, and they were offloading just to move a ball away from the point of contact. In terms of individual players, then we have 4 players on 3 offloads: Capuozzo, Dupont, Ficou, and Farrell. So, Owen Farrell gets a lot of stick about, he's not as creative as Marcus Smith, but still 3 offloads is pretty decent from him. Then turnovers conceded. England topped that stat with 15. We then have France on 14, Italy 13, Wales 10, Ireland 10, and Scotland 9. So Scotland really looking after their ball when they have it, and not conceding that many turnovers. In terms of players, then we have Federico Ruzza conceded 3 turnovers. Then we have Dupont, Jalonch, Dyer, Ramos, Williams, and Fusco all on 2. And then there was a bunch of other players on 2 as well, just too many to fit on the graphic. In terms of kicks, then, kicks from hand, Ireland topped that with 39, France 37. So in that game, that's 76 kicks in that game. But watching the game, you wouldn't think there was that many kicks. It certainly didn't feel like a kick fest in that one. A lot of the kicks, I think, set up attacks or were kicking for territory as well. Scotland as well with 30 kicks, England 30, Wales with 25, and Italy with 23. And Italy, again, I think it's a bit of a problem for them, is that they probably need to kick more. I think, and for two reasons. One is because just kicking for territory, so that way the game isn't always being played in their half. So if they are making those clean breaks or beating defenders in the opposition's half, then it's gonna lead to tries, or chances at least to score tries, rather than just simply getting up around about halfway and maybe conceding a penalty and nothing really coming of it. So I think Italy probably do need to kick more. And then the second reason for that also is because if they want to run the ball, they need to have a kicking threat as well. And what I mean by that is they need to keep the defense honest in terms of who's out in the backfield covering, sweeping, covering kicks. If teams think that it's not very likely Italy are going to kick, they might move somebody up into the line and have an extra defender there. But if they're kicking little chips over the top or kicks for distance or whatever, and just keep the opposition guessing, then the running game as well that they want to play is actually going to, it's going to be easier for them because the defense won't automatically be thinking that they're going to run the ball, and there will be potentially less people in the defensive line and more space there as well. So, it's maybe something that they could look at, is just having a bit more variety to their game. In terms of meters kicked, then Finn Russell tops those stats again this week with 507. Then Anton Dupont, 433. You've got Owen Farrell, Ramos, Keenan, and then Ntamack. So 3 French players there. You can see that the 3 big boots in that team, getting lots of meters. In terms of meters run, then Ireland topped this stat with 687, France 649, Scotland 468, and then at the bottom there we have England with 302. In terms of players, then Hugo Keenan made the most meters with 205. Part of that was that try that he scored coming in, in between Murray and Beelan with that lovely pop pass for him. And then the sprint then in between Ramos and Ntamack to score his try. Duhan van der Merwe there on 150. That guy really is in great form, and he just seems to make meters every time he carries now, and he really is putting fear in defences. Pinot there, he's involved in his own try twice. The first break from his own 22, then gives it to Gelange, takes it back from him, and then goes from about halfway from there to score the try. And the guy had some other good runs there as well, so not surprised he's up near the top. Capuozzo, always lively, and again, I want to see him make meters in the opposition half more, because then he's not just going to be there as someone who's had a decent game. He's going to be there as somebody who's scoring tries and helping his team win. We have Doris there as well. Doris returned that dropout for the build-up for the Keenan try, and then was a willing carrier for Ireland for most of the game as well. And we have Blair Kinghorn there as well. In terms of number of runs, then Ireland topped that with 178, Italy 146. You see we got France, Wales, Scotland 114, England 96. So England didn't run the ball that much. As I said, they were kind of playing that 10-man rugby. You can see it with the meters made as well, that a lot of it was Italy conceded a penalty, kick to the corner, Maul, and then if they are going to have runners, they're going to be one-out runners, And it just makes sense. Like, why would you spread the ball when you know your forwards can get over and score the tries? And in Scotland, they're not running that much, but you know, when they do run, they seem to really make ground, but they're kind of picking and choosing their time, I think, to use their running game or their passing game. In terms of carries, then we have Keenan and Doris at the top there with 18, Capuozzo, Dupont, and then Negri there as well. So, you know, a lot of decent carriers there in that list. In terms of passes, we have Ireland at the top with 222, Italy next with 199. You know, a lot of Italy's passes, again, though, they're in the wrong areas of the field. Wales 180, France 180, Scotland 157, and England 129. And the England one, again, I think speaks more to what Italy were doing than England. And then Scotland, you know, you always think of Scotland as like a passing team. But I think what it is that they pick and choose when they're going to use that passing game. You know, they use their kicks really smartly to get themselves into good positions. And then when it's on, they use the passing game and they find those gaps and get people over the gain line, get people over the try line. In terms of passers, then we have Dupont, Barney, Williams, Murray, Casey, and Van Poortvliet. So all scrum halves. Ben White, the only one really missing off the list there of the starting scrum halves. And again, that comes back to, you know, Scotland not passing that much. Now, next we have tackles. So France made the most tackles of anyone, 235, almost 100 more tackles than Ireland in that game. Next then was England 171, and at the bottom were Wales 135. Then into passing tackling success. Scotland at the top with 93.8. They really have built a very strong defence. The same with France, 91.9, including obviously that Dupont tackle on Hansen, which absolutely amazing. The way he stopped them getting over the try line was great. And then at the bottom, then we have Wales 79.9, Ireland 78.5. So again, lots to work on for Wales. Ireland definitely won't be happy with that percentage there. They're going to want to improve that for the game against Italy. In terms of individual tacklers, then Flamand with 26. So he's really stepped up for France. You know, now that Woki is out for the Six Nations. And then we have Jalanche there as well. Ludlam and Willis. Willis was like a man possessed for England. He had a great game. Olivon, Mershon, and then we have Matt Fagerson there as well. So Fagerson, I think, was the top tackler last week. On to penalties then. So Wales top the list this time with 17. So I think overall they've given away 32 penalties in the first two games. Far too many. And again, another area for them to work on. Italy as well, 14 penalties. They only gave away 7 against France in the first round. And they were pretty much closer to France than they were to England. And those penalties, it was a double kind of hit for them, because give away the penalty, obviously you're losing ground, but you're also letting England either kick up the field or kick into the corner. And as soon as they got into the corner, then they could go to the Maul. And then Italy's Maul defense is so poor that, it's hurting them so much. So basically giving away a penalty in their own half was almost giving away a try at times, the way things went for them. So definitely going to have to work on their discipline for the home game against Ireland. France and England giving away the least amount of penalties, 7 each there. So France did really well, like for, a team who they held Ireland up over the line like 3 or 4 times. And like Ireland could have scored a lot more tries in that game, but France held them out. But you can see by that, with only 7 penalties, they weren't doing it illegally for the most part, at least. In terms of then players giving away penalties, we've got Fischetti, Norton, Ryan with 3 each. Then Thomas Williams, Morisi, and Liam Williams, 2 each there as well, and a whole bunch of other players on 2 each too. And I think, I'm pretty sure I'm right here, Liam Williams has gotten a yellow card now in both games for Wales. So that's something, like, somebody's got to have a chat with him about that. Like, you know, whatever about giving away penalties, giving away yellow cards, and your team then having to play without you for 10 minutes, especially when this Welsh team, you know, there's so many other parts of the game that they've got to improve on, that to then have a period of 10 minutes where you're only playing with 14 and you're already getting outdone in most of the areas of the game anyway, really must be, like, you know, sapping their energy and their will as well, when things like that happen. So definitely have to improve on that. But that's going to do it for this one. So hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to be back with Six Nations in the build up to round 3, but this weekend as well we have the URC games, so we're going to be previewing them probably Thursday or Friday, and then covering some of the games over the weekend as well. So hopefully see you on one of those videos.